My friends, welcome to another Superdivorce production here. You're watching or listening on YouTube right now. Hope you're doing very well. I wanted to get on here and make a little video featuring an Indiegogo Comicsgate comic, we could call it. Definitely a comic that's done very well out of the Comicsgate community. One that I have been meaning to do a little video about for a while. It is called Graveyard Shift. It is a graphic novel. This is one that I actually backed a couple weeks ago. I've been wanting to do a video on it for longer than that, but I figured I would wait until I had actually backed it so that if I was recommending this, if I was doing a feature on it, then it was something that I've actually spent money on, and that I would give my seal of approval. I didn't want to tell you to go and back it if I hadn't backed it myself, Not that you can't advertise things that you have not spent money on, but I feel like it gives it a little more legitimacy when you've actually got some skin in the game, let's say, on that. So, this is a comic called Graveyard Shift. Graveyard Shift, very quickly, is basically, the creators are describing it as a mix between the Universal Monsters meets the X-Men. So it's kind of like the X-Men if they were the Universal Monsters. They have not released like a ton as far as details about the story goes, but one of the creators, John Malin, has come out and he said that basically in Graveyard Shift you will see a version of Dracula, Frankenstein, or Frankenstein's monster, Bride of Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon. So you get kind of the classic characters here, not the exact Universal Monsters, but kind of their analog in this Graveyard Shift universe that they're building up here. Now this is a book that has actually been in production, something that the two creators, John Malin and Mark Polton, have been working on since 2010. And so it's not something that they just whipped up here when all this Comicsgate stuff started. This has been in the works for quite a while. And like I said, the two creators are Mark Polton. Mark Polton here, you can see his Twitter account if you'd like to follow him. It is @ConeyWaves. Mark Polton, I was doing a little research and I found out that he did a book with his son called Pizza Tree. And after reading a little bit about this, I'll probably do a video on this one just for fun as well when it actually comes in. I just ordered this maybe 20 minutes ago when I was reading about it. It sounds really fun. It's basically like the concept is this kid plants a pepperoni in the ground and it grows into a pizza tree. And Polton had described it as drawing inspiration from movies like The Burbs and Monster Squad. So right up my alley. If you're into that kind of thing, check this out. Go and look it up. I think that it's definitely worth taking a chance on. It was only like $9.95 on Amazon, so pick up a copy and see what you think. I'm gonna check it out myself, and like I said, I'll probably end up doing a video about this one as well. But that looked really fun. Anyhow, so that's Mark Polton. He's also worked on some other stuff. He's written for Hawkman, Evangeline, Cat Named Haiku, and then this Pizza Tree and some other stuff. So he's a seasoned vet at this point. Then we've got John Malin. If you'd like to follow John Malin on Twitter, look him up @John Malin. No H in the John, and it's Malin. John Malin. John Malin gained some notoriety within the past few years. He's not a noob or anything, but he had a run on cable that a lot of people loved because he has kind of this throwback 90s style art, which is fantastic. You can see it right here. I would recommend checking this out. I'm going to myself. Unfortunately, when this run was really gaining a lot of steam and people were loving it, I had kind of bowed out of comics. I've just really gotten back into to the comic scene within the past, I would say, 6 months or so. Ever since I started listening to Ethan Van Sciver, and he began talking about Cyberfrog. I started listening to him, I think, maybe back in March, and he hadn't actually started the Cyberfrog campaign, but he was talking about it and talking about the build up to it and some of the craziness that was going on within comic books at that point. Anyway, Malin has also worked recently on the Jawbreakers graphic novel, which is another title to come out of the Comicsgate scene. This one written by Richard Meyer, but drawn by John Malin. So that's another one that you should probably be on the lookout for. Looks really cool. If you're into kind of the action G.I. Joe type comic books, this looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to read as well. So Malin, you might wonder, why did he leave Marvel? What was going on there? Well, I found out that around last January, and I don't want to spend too much time on this. I just thought it was worth noting. It's always interesting to hear the story of why some of these creators, people who have nice jobs, at big companies, decide to kind of strike it out on their own, and see what they can make happen without the heavy weight behind them, so to speak. And it turns out that Malin, working within the comic book industry, he kind of had grown tired of a lot of the SJW antics within the comic book, not just the comics community, not just fans. I think you're always going to have people who talk shit about your stuff and people are going to disagree with you. But when an ideology invades your actual business, when the industry itself becomes overrun by people who are trying to silence you and such, then it can become pretty hostile. And I think what happened was he seemed to get tired of it. He tweeted this last year. It said, X-Men, well, he was replying to a tweet that said, "Aren't the X-Men literally social justice warriors?" And Malin's tweet said, "X-Men are closer to Jews in SJW Hitler's Germany, fighting for freedom because they see ideologues rising, silencing them, weaponizing hate, racism, and socialism against the people they claim are the root of social ills. SJWs are not Nazis, but Nazis are SJWs, and X-Men aren't SJWs." So he was kind of coming at the assertion that you see thrown around, where it's like, the SJW movement wants to kind of co-opt and champion the X-Men because they see themselves as the X-Men. They see themselves as these oppressed, these oppressed groups of people, all the various different cliques and such. They're all like little factions, they're all their own little X-Men teams, and they're all being held back. They're all being held down by the man. They're all being discriminated against, and it's just awful. They're being treated like Jews in Hitler's Germany, and it's just not the case, and that's what he was kind of pointing out here with this tweet, is like the SJWs are actually, they're not Nazis, but they utilize some of those tactics, where it's like, if you don't agree with us, then you are, you're not just someone who holds a different opinion. You are like a cancer. You are like you're something dirty that needs to be scrubbed out of society. You often hear people say stuff like that, like, "Well, there's no place in society for people like you," and things like that. You're a disease. Your kind needs to be, you guys need to go away. You need to be removed from the equation and such, as opposed to opening up a dialogue and talking. Oftentimes, these people won't even be willing to have a conversation, and that's a big problem, because that's how you come to an understanding. You have to be willing to at least entertain a conversation with someone. At least talk with them, hear where they're coming from, and then if you both disagree at the end, then fine, but at least you might understand why the person feels the way they feel. It does no one any good to hear a different point of view and immediately dismiss it without considering why the person feels the way they do. It's very convenient if you can just jump right to that person being a Nazi or that person, being stupid. If you can just write them off immediately, you have no further work to do. And you also don't have to look inward. You don't have to challenge yourself. You don't have to come up with any reasons why you believe what you believe. You just know right off the bat that you're correct. And it's that type of view that I think people are growing tired of. That's what I think a lot of Comicsgate is about. It's not even really about people being right-wingers or left-wingers. It's people who want good comic books. They don't want political ideology shoved in their face when they open the pages of their comics on Wednesdays. So anyhow, that's a little about what happened with Malin. This came out. This was a big news story when it happened. People were calling for Malin's job. They started contacting Marvel. They were trying to drive him out. They're like, this man has no place in comic books. We don't need his kind. Again, it's like he's a cancer. He's something to be gotten rid of. We need to drive him out of this because, it's like something that needs to be cleaned. Just thinking differently, right? And so I think when his contract ran out with Marvel, then he went out on his own, and he started this Mortal Enemy Patreon, where it was basically like him trying to get people together, trying to get like-minded comic book fans, video game fans, fans of movies, music, whatever, people who wanted to have a community around the things that they loved, and do so without being preached at constantly. People who just wanted to enjoy the things they enjoyed, without being hit over the head with the club of social justice. And so if you're interested in this, you can go to patreon.com/mortalenemy. And right now there are only 2 tiers that are open. You can pledge $1 or more a month. The $1 tier kind of just gets you in the club, and it's like a way of throwing your support behind Mortal Enemy. And then you've got $10 more a month, and that will get you special access every month to a new high-res download of art created under the Mortal Enemy banner. And then you can go and print it out. It's yours. You can make your own high-quality prints of it. And as they say here, print it out, grab a knife, and stab it to your wall. So some more information here on Graveyard Shift. They're doing an ash can as well. If you're not familiar with an ash can is like a small comic book, kind of oftentimes I guess would be used as a teaser. This isn't going to be a teaser of the actual book. It's going to be a teaser featuring, I think, the characters and a similar vibe, if you will, but it's going to be a little more kid-friendly. It's going to be something that, your youngins can read. Slightly spooky, but not over the top. It's not going to have any graphic violence or anything like that, the way that the actual graphic novel will. But the ash can that they're going to release for it is being done by Nerd Wonder. And Nerd Wonder you can follow on Twitter at Your Nerd Wonder. And Nerd Wonder also has a YouTube page, a YouTube channel you can check out. We're subscribed to Nerd Wonder. She does some drawings, like live drawings, and then we'll kind of just talk and rant about comics a little bit or movies that she's seen. So I would suggest following Nerd Wonder as well. just look up Nerd Wonder on YouTube and give her a sub. So, let's see. I wanted to actually go into the artwork for Graveyard Shift because that's what grabbed my attention. It was like the mix of the old school Universal monsters with the X-Men that just, it sounded immediately captivating to me. Like without really looking into any of the art, it just sounded like something that I would be interested in reading immediately when I heard about it. So I did start to look up some of the artwork. I kind of compiled as many screenshots as I could of various panels and stuff that they've released thus far. And so I tried to arrange them in kind of an order that makes sense here, just putting it together in my own mind. So it's like you've got this castle setting here. You can imagine this might be like Transylvania or something. And again, don't take my the order that I'm presenting this in as gospel or anything. I just tried to put it together in a way that would make sense to show it to you guys. And then you've got this panel that I just showed before is actually a close-up of a panel that's on this full page here. And so I'm guessing that maybe this guy's like an explorer. You know, by the way, the artwork is fantastic. I know that I said that it sounded immediately interesting without knowing much about the artwork, but then once I started looking at the artwork, that sealed the deal. I was like, this is awesome. And I didn't really know much about Malin going into this because I kind of missed out on his run on cable. I think I would have really liked that. So that's another thing I might have to go back and look at too. So you've got this guy exploring here. I don't know who or what would be inside of these coffins here. I don't know. Mysterious. But maybe his discovery, he seems kind of like an explorer type, you know. Maybe his discovery leads to something to do with Project Nosferatu. That's what I am guessing is the name for the project that leads to this team of Universal monsters being created. That seems to make enough sense to me. Perhaps. You've got this, you've got some sort of serum or mixture in here inside this little test tube. Maybe that has something to do with it as well. Could that be used in the process of creating this team, the Graveyard Shift team? By the way, I also should mention Graveyard Shift, if the name sounds familiar to you, was also an Image title that ran for a couple years. It's no longer going, so it shouldn't be too confusing now. But if the name sounds familiar to you, then that might be why, perhaps. So just look here. This, I'm guessing, is the team pre-transformation. Now, I don't know if they're going to be able to transform and then go back to the regular human forms. That would be cool, but yeah, I mean that seems like it would give them the opportunity to blend into everyday life if they needed to, if they're going out and doing any sort of investigation or stuff like that. But I don't know. This could be like the beginning of the book before they're transformed. But it definitely seems like this is our team doing some underwater exploration here. So it just looks beautiful. Definitely looks high quality. I don't see any reason why this, couldn't be released from Marvel or DC. I mean, I know why it's not being released. Obviously, they don't need Marvel or DC in this case because they're doing quite well. They've already surpassed their goals. They've actually reached, I think, 3 stretch goals for their campaign. They've already upgraded the cover stock for the book itself. They've added a spine to the side. They've added a trading card for all the backers. And then they also just added a bonus for Nerd Wonder, who's doing the ash can. So she's getting a pay bonus, which is cool. It's really neat to see that the people putting these books together, the creators, they care enough about the people that they're hiring to help them out that when the campaigns do well, I mean, Ethan Van Sciver did this for Kyle Ritter too, with Cyberfrog. It was like they hit certain milestones, and then the artist gets, or the colorist, or in this case, the artist working on the ash can, they're giving them extra money because it's like they're achieving what they set out to do, and the people who are backing this stuff are responding so enthusiastically that it's like, well, we're blowing the doors off the campaign. Why don't we increase the pay on for the people that we've hired to help us out here? It's just another great aspect of the Comicsgate community that the haters will not talk about. Let's not talk about the fact that a female artist has been hired to create the ash can for this book, and she's also been given a bonus without any pressure from the fans. It didn't take anyone within Comicsgate yelling at John Malin, telling him to pay Nerd Wonder a bonus. It didn't take anyone within Comicsgate pressuring John Malin to hire Nerd Wonder to do the ash can. It's just like, if you can do the job and you mesh well with the people who are running the project, it doesn't matter if you're a male or female. And that is what I think the civil rights shit was all about to begin with, not judging people based on their skin color or their sex or their sexual preference. It was like, let's judge people on the content of their character, and in this case, when you're hiring someone, judge them based on their abilities. So that's what they're doing here, and it looks great. So you've got this might be connected perhaps soon in the story, these two pages here, or at least this page, and then I'm guessing this is actually just like a panel from another page. But it looks like they're going to some sort of underwater laboratory, and then one of them gets out, and I don't know if they're trying to break in, perhaps. I don't know. But then there's an explosion underwater. So is this laboratory going to explode? Are these two connected? I don't know. That could be. We definitely see some creepy looking sharks here with glowing eyes, like this big, what is that? Some sort of cephalopod? Is that what you call them? I don't know. Creepy though. You've got this creepy guy, glowing eyes. It was like inside of his tank. This might be one of the members of the team. I think it is, actually. But he wakes up in there. Here's your Dracula type character, the vampire on the team, biting her neck. I don't know who this guy is. He's holding some sort of little action figure or doll or whatnot. I don't know. So here's the female, one of the females, I guess, post-transformation. I don't know who these people in the red are. I don't know who any of these people are, really. This is all speculation, like I said. But I'm guessing that these guys in red are going to be fighting our Graveyard Shift team. And this guy right here talking on the cell phone with a dead body in the back seat of his car. This might be our big bad. This might be a shot of the big baddie from Graveyard Shift. And then he's going inside of this mansion with one of these guys in red. So we get some little glimpses into a narrative here, but we just don't really know anything about it right now. This is the guy who woke up inside the tank that we just looked at. Something's going wrong here. Critical! Yeah, oh shit! Some more tank antics. I don't know. I'm just guessing based off of the body shape, the shape of the head. This guy coming out of this tank could possibly be this guy. Your kind of merman, your creature from the Black Lagoon character. And yeah, here's one of the red guys that we just saw in our Graveyard Shift team. They're definitely battling those guys in red. So those are some sort of mysterious red armored bad guys who are probably working for that guy with the slicked back blonde hair that we saw in the limo with the dead body in the back. Yeah, so that's what it looks like. That's the extent of what's available as far as artwork goes right now. I think it looks fantastic. I hope that you guys, after watching this video, maybe will be moved to go over and check out their Indiegogo page. Let me go back to that so you guys can see what it looks like here. If you just look up Graveyard Shift graphic novel on Indiegogo, it has 8 days left as of right now. So, done pretty well, I would say. It has raised 1,211% of their $5,000 fixed goal. And they're at $60,548 right now, with 1,135 backers, of which we are one. So please go out and support this book. If they get to, let's see, they have another stretch goal right now they're trying to hit. It is 80,000 they're trying to go for. If they get to 80,000, they're going to increase the integrity of the stock on the cover yet again. They've already done it once, but they're going to make it an even heavier stock. And then they're going to add 12 pages of like bonus creator commentary, a secret history, fan art, pinups. So it's pretty cool. They're going to add even more to the book if they just get $20,000 more dollars within the next week, basically. So I think with a big push, they might be able to achieve it. So check it out, back it. Let me show you real quick. I'll just go through the tiers that are available. So the featured tier is the $50 graphic novel plus ash can. That's a good deal. I think that's the one that I backed at, was the $50 level. For $25, you get the graphic novel. For $40, you get 2 graphic novels. For $75, you get 2 graphic novels plus 2 ash cans. For $100, you get a graphic novel, ash can, and a sketch. For $150, you get 2 graphic novels, an ash can, and a sketch. And then at $200, what is this? Graveyard Gear. What does that say? 4 copies of Graveyard Shift, signed by writer Mark Polton and artist John Malin. Includes head sketch on the inside front cover by John Malin. 4 copies of the 16-page ash can by artist Nerd Wonder. That would be unsigned. You get a t-shirt. Comics will be carefully placed in a protective sleeve with protected board, sent to you in a Gemini comic book flash mailer. And then the last one is 4 ash cans, signed graphic novel, 4 sketches, Graveyard Shift t-shirt, and a preview book. It says rare on the preview book. So, one of those is going to work for you guys. I think that most people could probably back at least at the $25 level. So if this seems interesting to you, I would highly recommend it. Head on over to Indiegogo. Look up Graveyard Shift graphic novel, project owner John Malin. Follow John Malin on Twitter. Follow Mark Polton. Follow Nerd Wonder. And thanks for watching this. Hopefully you guys dug it, and hopefully you will dig Graveyard Shift. Muhahaha. Okay. We will talk to you soon. Take real good care. Bye-bye.
My friends, we are Superdivorce, a synth-pop duo with a full-length album called Action Figures. You can listen to it on many streaming platforms, including Spotify, where you can follow us and keep up to date with all of our tunes. If you like what you hear, why not pick up a copy of Action Figures on CD, cassette tape, or vinyl record at superdivorceme.com, and grab a Superdivorce Rules t-shirt while you're there too. And hey, while you're here, please make sure that you've liked this video, sub to our channel, and bong the gong for notifications. We go live here every single day, so don't miss out on your chance to join us in real time for chats and the latest in pop culture news. We have a fantastic community, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. On top of daily vids and some rad tunes, we also produce a weekly podcast called the Superdivorce Supercast, with new episodes every Friday. as well as a comic book review show called Super Fanatics, a horror movie review show called Super Scary, some video game streaming, and a Star Wars review called Sequential Star Wars, in which I, Nicholas, and my good brother Andrew review the Star Wars films and TV shows in sequential chronological order. And with the shilling complete, please look forward to another video here on the official YouTube channel of Superdivorce.
We can go viral with this one.